Yes, hello, welcome back to another episode of Idiot Metalhead Listens to classic, critically acclaimed album by a band that's by many considered one of the best metal bands in the whole world. I'm still working on that tagline. So, Mastodon, Leviathan. It's a concept album about Moby Dick. That should be good. I mean, I've never read Moby Dick. I don't really know much about it except that it's about a guy on a boat and he's hunting this big white whale. I guess that works for a concept album, especially if it's a metal album, because the whole story does seem pretty metal in and of itself. I'm not completely unfamiliar with Mastodon. I've even seen them live at a festival, but it was in the middle of the afternoon and it was 35 degrees and I was tired and too hot and I wasn't really paying attention. But I do remember thinking, I should listen to this band more. And then I didn't. I just forgot about it. I'm not gonna waste any more time. I'm just gonna listen to this album now. The first song is called Blood and Thunder. I mean, you can read it here. You can follow along if you want. Awesome! That riff gets better every time I hear it. Woohoo! Nice. Nice, that's awesome. Yo, okay, now I definitely completely understand why so many people consider this a fantastic album. This was just one song and I already think this was amazing. If it does feel like you're on a boat in the ocean and you see that whale coming and you're like, we need to get this bastard. Something about how the song moves that it kind of draws you into the adventure the adventure story that is Moby Dick. I gotta read this book now. That's a trip to the library. Yeah, damn, let's see what the rest of the story is. What a great riff. None of this sounds easy to do, by the way. The drums are nasty too, man. Ooh. Man, these guitars are insane. Whew. This is gonna be just another one of those times where I just sit here and I'm like, this is awesome. I love it. Why didn't I do this before? You hear so much about this album. Lots of people talk about it. Lots of people are like, this is so good. Classic album. You need to listen to it. Everybody needs to listen to it. If you're a metalhead, you're an idiot if you don't listen to this. And then you actually sit down and listen to it and it's even better than what you expected it was gonna be. I didn't think I was gonna dislike it or that I was gonna think it was gonna be bad in some kind of way or any kind of way, but I mean, ooh. Also, can I just take a minute to look at this artwork of this album? It's gorgeous. It has these colors. This whale looks properly legendary. The ship's on fire. That's a bit unfortunate. Like I said, I don't really know the story of Moby Dick. Does the ship go down? I assume it does because it is a big ass whale. Do they win? Did they get the whale? Kind of feel bad for the whale now. Anyway, a lot of how the guitar is played also sort of reminds me of being on the ocean and swinging with the ship. I hope that makes sense. I will say I don't know if I'm too crazy about the vocals. What is this drummer doing, man? That's impressive. I wonder if it's parts of the book that they just put in there. Or if it's just maybe certain phrases from the book or whole pieces of text, or it's just lyrics that they just wrote separately based on what's happening in the book. I have no idea. But yeah, like I said, the guitars, the drums, it's so well done. I don't know much about making music and I don't play an instrument, but you can hear that stuff is complicated and none of it is easy to do, but they make it sound easy and all the songs flow well. So definitely I think you can say that Mastodon, that they know what they're doing. Ooh! That was awesome! This is so sick. Damn, I mean, all the instruments are crazy in these songs. Okay, so I don't know the story of Moby Dick, but I think going by these songs and from what I can understand, they're just telling the story, and I guess so far what's happened is we're sailing the oceans, we see this big ass whale, the Captain Ahab is like, let's get that bastard, And then he destroys our boat, and now we're stranded, and we're not happy. But anyway, yeah, this, I mean, I keep saying it, and I will probably keep saying it for the rest of the video. This is just so well done. This is just such good, proper metal. With the fast guitars, I can definitely hear a thrash influence in there, especially in that last song. I thought, like, this is like old school 80s, the big four of thrash kind of stuff, right? So I'm assuming the band is that's the kind of metal that they grew up with or that they loved very much when they started to make music. These fat riffs, man. Ooh, it does make you wonder how much practice, for how long would it take to be able to drum like that? Because I never had the patience to learn an instrument. This bit. Ugh. What is that drummer on, man? Okay, I'm running out of things to say. This is completely amazing. I like that the bass guitar comes through a little bit here and there. Because, I mean, it very much has a bit of a wall of sound thing going on. So it's nice that all the instruments get to play their part, so to speak. And that they get to stand out in the mix. Man, I said what is the drummer on? What are the guitarists on? I mean, this whole album is such a ride so far. Like, quality immediately cranked up to 11 and it has not dropped for even a second. It's just totally amazing. And I can imagine that this is an album that just gets better and better every time you listen to it. This is I swear, I've never really heard any of this before. I don't even know if they play any of these songs live anymore. Because this album is already like 20 years old apparently. Anyway, I don't really remember much from seeing them live because it was way too hot. But I will say I lost the plot a little bit. Are we still stuck somewhere, or do we get back to the whale soon? It's probably the story probably is not so much about the whale, but more of what happens to the people that are on this adventure. Yeah, it's these vocals that I'm not too crazy about, but maybe that's just my ears. This is almost kind of like a sadder song. Oh, never mind. See this melody, it has like also a sort of sadness to it. Yeah, definitely a very, very desperate kind of feel to this song. It's not going well for the whale hunters, guys. Man, that is so... Ooh, tasty. I'm gonna have to listen to this album 10 more times at least. There's so much going on that I'm not fully appreciating right now because I'm a dumbass talking over the music and it's only the first time I'm hearing any of this, so. Man, those are some raw screams. Ah, they're so good at building all this atmosphere into the music. In the previous song I talked about it, a desperate kind of tone in the song. It's even more so now. I mean, listen to those screams, man. It's the music is heavy, but it's also like emotionally heavy. Usually when I watch a movie or a show or anything and I get attached to the characters in that show, I don't want anything bad happening to them. I feel like especially since shows like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones came along, people are like kind of making a contest of like, oh, which character is gonna die first. I don't want anybody to die in my stories, man. I want everybody to be okay. And somehow this album, with me having a terrible ear for understanding lyrics, and not knowing the story at all, I feel the story. I feel the emotions that the characters are feeling in this story that I'm sort of making up as the music goes along. But at this point, I'm like, nobody's having a good time. I want everybody to come out okay. I can't recall a single time that I listened to an album where it isn't really like a proper story that I can sort of follow along. And that it's like watching a movie where I'm like, I just want everybody to go home and eat some soup and go to bed and have a good rest. For being a metal album, and I mean, it's not that I'm saying that metal can be emotional. It can absolutely be very deeply emotional. But I'm surprised by how emotional this is, because this is not something that you really see people talk about when they talk about this album. They're just like, yeah, it's just really good and really great metal album, great metal band. The instruments are really great. Like these guys know how to play music. I don't think I ever really seen many people talk about the emotional quality of what's going on here. Or maybe I'm just weird in this, I have no idea. It's building so much atmosphere again. Ooh! Ooh! Hello! So what I'm getting so far is a sort of desperate attempt at getting back at this whale. Against the odds. Against better judgment, maybe. Like I said, they can evoke so much emotion with just the melodies and the riffs. I feel like I'm getting way too emotionally involved in this. Is it giving Sailing Off into the Sunset? I don't know. Well, the album's not over yet, the story's not over yet, so... What's the last song gonna tell us? So this sounds more like the Sailing Off into the Sunset part. But it's not a happy kind of feeling either. But I suppose if your ship gets destroyed by a giant-ass whale and you get stranded and you just go through a lot of physical and emotional hardship, that's traumatizing. That's what I'm getting from this. Like a heavy feeling, not heavy in the sense of like heavy guitars, but like you're tired. You're done. You want to go home, have some soup, take a nap. What a journey. You know, I didn't expect it was going to be so layered. Not just in terms of like what the music, what instruments you get, how well they're played, but also how emotional this honestly was. I mean, like I said, I don't know the actual Moby Dick story, but I feel like I now have an emotional understanding purely because of this album. And it's a metal album, and it's not something that you really expect from metal. Like I said, it can absolutely be deeply emotional in many ways. And I didn't expect this album to be like this. In a way, it reminds me of a movie soundtrack that is also supposed to make you feel the emotions that the characters are feeling, and hopefully have good actors in your story and they can make you feel what they're feeling with their acting. But the music is like 50% of the emotional content of your movie, right? And this felt like a soundtrack to a movie. Or maybe you could sit and listen to this in the background while you're reading the book Moby Dick. I don't know. This might be something that I'm gonna try at some point. That seems like a fun idea. Yeah, man, I'll definitely have to sit down and listen to this again. First impression is fantastic. I absolutely understand why people say this is a classic album by a band who absolutely knows what they're doing. And I did say while I was listening that the vocals were not always like super fantastic for me, but now I understand. Now that I've listened to the whole album, I understand that they were definitely part of all the emotional layering, and that they were also definitely trying to convey certain emotions with you in the songs, depending on like if they're more harsh, if they're more melodic, or in between. But yeah, I really felt like this whole album did a fantastic job of guiding me through a story that I honestly still don't really know much about. I probably misguessed a lot of the things that actually happen in Moby Dick, but you know. So yeah, every week I sit down and listen to something new, and so far every week it's actually been a ton of fun. So I hope I can continue to do this. And I'm honestly surprised that I've been getting the amount of views and subscribers that I've been getting. And that's actually really super awesome. So I'm glad that you're here with me on this little journey. And I hope you'll continue to stick around with me. Yeah, I'll see you next Sunday.